Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, Lonely Stick of Dynamite. Today we're talking to Jonathon Perchal, who's an entertainment lawyer, and he's been in the industry for 25 years. Jonathon's had a really prestigious career and he's worked with Polygram, and just recently he's finished working with Curzon Artificial Eye. Jonathon, more importantly, is one of the producers, one of the 3 producers on this short film, Lonely Stick of Dynamite. So here's part 3, which deals with music clearance.
Okay, the next topic is music, and this is a very complex topic, as they all are, but this is particularly important because a lot of people, a lot of filmmakers in my experience, have left it as an add-on instead of as an integral part of the process. And I think any filmmaker will want to be considering music from the beginning, especially if music's going to be an important component of their film. Some films, of course, are silent or don't contain, are not silent from the aspect of music, not from verbal, and so that is not so much a concern. But where music is, and you are going to be using either composer or buying in music, licensing in, or both, then it's important to consider it from the start. And so what you want to do is get a composer, if you're going to use a composer, get him or her on board early, because not only will they be able to begin to compose the music along with your images, but they'll also have a creative input into the whole process. And also when you're licensing in music, it can take a long time, because especially for smaller independent productions, when you approach somebody like Universal Music or BMG, you know, you're a small fry, and they want, you know, they're looking for their £250,000 sale, not their £1,000 sale. So you want to approach these people to see if the music's first available from them, and also the cost and the time period that it's going to take for them to. Some of them are very efficient now and can do it quite quickly, but you want to be able to see if that track's available, because if it isn't, or it's going to cost too much, then you have to be thinking your next move. And a lot of filmmakers kind of leave it a bit late, and then that can really delay post-production, because then we're fighting to find the sound or the music to go with that scene, and it can take a few attempts to do that. When you're acquiring music rights, there's certain things you have to kind of look at. First, if it is covered by copyright. And what I'm saying is that certain music, after a length of time, will no longer be in copyright, and you can use that music without paying anything. But then you have to also be careful, because when acquiring music rights, there are 2 types of licenses you need. And one is a license with a publisher who actually controls that music or that composition, and one with the owner of the recording of that music. And there is a further complication when using classical music or any other music. Although the actual piece might be out of copyright, there could be an adaptation of that music that is in copyright. So you have to be very careful and determine if it's still active, the copyright in that music. And so you have to approach the publisher and the record company that owns the copyright. This is slightly different if you're not buying in already composed music, but you have a composer that you're commissioning a composer to do the score for the film. And this is, you would probably be doing the recording yourself or paying for the recording yourself, so you would already own that as the company producing the film. So what you're trying to get from the composer is certain publishing rights. For a small independent film, the composer would probably say he or she would do it maybe for a minimal fee, but would want to retain their rights in the music. So you as a filmmaker, when doing your agreement with the composer, would want to get that collection of rights that is absolutely necessary for the film, and then allow the composer to retain other rights, such as the rights to, let's say, put it in an advertisement or whatever. What you'd also want to do is protect yourself that music wouldn't be used in another film, either ever, or if you can get that from the composer, or at least a period of time, let's say 3-5 years, that the composer cannot then use that same motif or whatever, or even the actual compositions in another film. When dealing with the composer, again, you want to get that thing called the moral rights. So you would see if the composer would assign you, waive his or her moral rights. And also, again, for chain of title, you want to get an assignment of any of the composer's rights in the music, if that's possible. But if he wants to retain part of the copyright, then you have to get a clear-cut license from him for the use of that music in the film in perpetuity, if you can, but at least for the length of copyright. Okay, when dealing with music, you'd probably want to get a total buyout. So whatever rights you'll be exploiting in the film, you don't have to pay the composer or the person you're licensing in the music, the company you're licensing in the music from, any more fees. However, this is not possible with certain rights, such as performance rights, which is the performance rights is, as an example, whenever it's shown in a cinema, there's a performance rights attached to the music, or when it's shown on television. Usually, as the producer, you're not too concerned about these, because most distributors or whoever's going to exploit your film would probably have what's called a blanket license with the relevant collection agency to collect on the performance royalties. So, and that under most legal systems you cannot buy out. The other one is mechanical rights, which attaches to physical copies of the film that's sold. So let's say every DVD that's sold, there'd be a percentage of that price that would go back to the publisher and to the composer of that particular piece of music. Under certain jurisdictions, such as the American and UK, you can buy those out and absolutely control those so that you don't have to pay any more. However, in certain European jurisdictions, it's illegal to do that. So when you're doing, let's say, a co-production, you might cleverly say, well, we'll contract all the music under the UK part of it and not the French, if that's, for example, if that's how you want to protect yourself about having to pay anything further on mechanicals. So a buyout is the greatest extent you can buy out the music in the film. So I think it's true to say that the most extent is to buy it out, except for the performance royalty, which you'll always have to allow the composer or publisher to retain. If there are any other topics you would like us to cover, please let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.